While everybody argues about the same 3 MVP names out west, the most interesting MVP story in basketball is happening quietly in Detroit. 5 years ago, Cade Cunningham was a #1 pick surrounded by bust whispers on a team that lost 68 games. Today, he is an All-NBA guard leading a 60-win juggernaut. That is not a slow climb, that is a rocket. So today, the case that Cade Cunningham is not just good, he is on his way to an MVP, and it could happen as soon as next season. Let's break it down. Here is the plan. First, the climb, from struggling #1 pick to franchise star. Then the leap, the numbers year over year that tell the story. Then where he actually ranks among lead guards right now. And finally, the real case for him winning MVP in the 2026-2027 season. The stats are verified. The MVP projection is my read. This is Game is Culture. Quick thing first, if you like breakdowns that call the next superstar before the crowd does, subscribe, because this is the kind of rise you want to say you saw coming, and it is happening right now. Start at the bottom, because you cannot appreciate the climb without remembering how rough it got. Cade was the #1 overall pick in 2021, and the start was bumpy. As a rookie, he averaged 17 a game, but shot 41% on a 23-win team. Then came the scary part. The next season, a shin injury wiped him out after just 12 games. A #1 pick, hurt on a losing team, and the whispers started. Bust, overrated, injury prone. Another Detroit lottery pick that would join a long list of Pistons draft disappointments. For a franchise that had swung and missed on top picks before, the fear was real, and the national narrative had basically written him off before his career even got going. That is where this story begins, at the very bottom. But look at what happened next, because the turnaround is stunning. Drafted #1 in 2021, bottomed out in 2024 when the team won just 14 games, one of the worst seasons in modern history. Then the leap in 2025, 26 a game, and a return to the playoffs. And by 2026, an All-NBA guard leading a 60-win team. From rock bottom to the top of the East in 2 years flat. So let's put real numbers on that leap, because the year-over-year jump is the heart of this case. Start with scoring, 17 as a rookie, then almost 20, then 23, then a peak of 26 a game. Notice it dipped slightly this past year to just under 24. Hold that thought, because that dip is not a decline, it is a choice, and it might be the most important number in this entire video. Here's why that scoring dip does not matter, because everything else exploded. His assists climbed every single year, all the way to nearly 10 a game, second most in the entire NBA. And his plus-minus, the simplest measure of impact, went from -350 on a losing team to +518. He did not get worse, he got smarter, giving up a few shots to run the best team in the East. That is a superstar maturing. And look at the playmaking climb on its own. 5.5 assists as a rookie, then 6, then 7.5, then 9, and now nearly 10 a night. That is not a scorer who happens to pass. That is a true point guard, a lead orchestrator, and he became one of the best passers alive while nobody outside Detroit was watching. But the most jaw-dropping chart is not his stats at all, it is the team. 23 wins, then 17, then a rock-bottom 14, then 44, then 60. As Cade rose, the Pistons did not just improve, they went from a historic punchline to the best record in the East. His personal climb and the team's climb are the exact same line.
Think about that jump. From 14 wins to 60 in 2 seasons is one of the biggest turnarounds the league has ever seen. Teams do not do that by accident, and they do not do that without a superstar at the center of it. Cade Cunningham was the constant. The best ability a franchise player can have is to drag a franchise up with him, and he dragged Detroit from the basement to the penthouse. And notice how it lines up with his own growth. The year he took the leap to 26 a game, the team jumped to 44 wins and the playoffs. The year he became a true 10-assist orchestrator, they hit 60. His individual leaps and the team's leaps are not a coincidence. They are cause and effect. That is the single most valuable thing a player can be, the reason a team wins. And if you want the single night that captures what he has become, it happened on the biggest stage in the sport. This is Cade Cunningham at Madison Square Garden. 42 points and 13 assists in one night. 17 makes from the floor, 5 of them from deep. Look at this shot chart. He scored from the rim, from the mid-range, and from 3, and still handed out 13 assists. That is a 40-point, 13-assist masterpiece against a great team in the most famous building in basketball. That is not a good young player. That is a superstar announcing himself. So the climb is real and the ceiling is high, but where does he actually rank right now, today, among the league's lead guards? Here is his full profile. Almost 24 points and nearly 10 assists a game on strong efficiency, an All-NBA selection, and the best plus-minus of any Piston by a mile. He led the number 1 seed in the East. This is the stat line of a top 10 player in the league, maybe top 5 right now. The only thing missing is the hype. So how does he stack up against the MVP favorites? Be honest. Guys like Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander score more, 30 plus a night. On raw buckets, Cade is behind them. But look at the other columns. He outpasses them, second in the entire league in assists, and he led a better regular season team than almost anybody. The MVP is not only a scoring title. On the parts that actually decide the award, winning and impact, Cade is right there. And here's what the box score does not show. Cade is a genuine two-way guard. He is 6'6" with real size, he defends, and he almost never comes off the floor for the best team in the conference. He is not a stat padder on a bad team. He is the driving force of a winner, doing it on both ends of the floor. That is the exact profile MVP voters have rewarded for years. The big, two-way lead guard who controls everything and elevates everyone. And crucially, he does it in a small market, with no drama, no theatrics, just winning. That is why he flies under the radar. If this exact player were in Los Angeles or New York, we would already be calling him a top 5 player without a second thought. He is already in the conversation. He is just too quiet in the wrong market for people to notice. Which brings us to the real question. Not is he good, he clearly is. The question is, can he actually win MVP next season? Here is the case. The MVP almost always goes to the best player on one of the very best teams, with a story behind him. Cade already has the team. Now look at what changed around him this summer. Detroit added real shooting in John Collins and Isaiah Joe, which means more space for Cade to operate. And the East got weaker, with Boston trading Jaylen Brown away. So the wins should stay elite, and the path just got easier. The setup could not be better. Now add the one thing that would seal it, a scoring bounce back. Remember, he averaged 26 2 years ago before he dialed it back to run the team. With better shooters spacing the floor, my read is he can climb back toward 27 a game while still dishing 10 assists. A guy putting up 27 and 10 on a 60-win team in a wide-open conference is not a dark horse anymore. That is a frontrunner.
Think about the voter math, because MVP is as much about narrative as numbers. Best record in the conference? Check. A superstar leap story? Check. A scoring bump to go with elite passing? Check. And a young, likable face carrying a historic turnaround? Check. That is not me being a fan. That is a checklist of exactly what MVP voters reward, and Cade is about to tick every box at once. And there is a bonus factor. Voters love a fresh face. They get tired of giving it to the same names, and they love crowning the new guy who took the leap. After years of the same handful of MVPs, a 24-year-old leading a shocking 60-win turnaround is exactly the kind of story the media loves to vote for. Narrative is a real part of this award, and Cade's narrative is about as good as it gets. But let me pump the brakes, because there are real reasons this might not happen next year. The MVP race is brutal. Out west, you have scorers dropping 33 and 31 a night, and voters love raw scoring. A lead guard who wins with passing has a higher bar to clear than a bucket getter. Cade needs the scoring to actually climb. He needs to stay healthy for 82 games, and he probably needs a real playoff run to erase the doubts. None of that is guaranteed. This is a strong case, not a done deal. So where does that leave his odds for next season? On my dial, he is a rising contender and climbing fast. Not the betting favorite yet, that is still the 30-point scorers out west, but he has the team, the trajectory, the situation, and the story. If the scoring ticks up even a little, he vaults from a name on the ballot to a name at the top of it. Cade Cunningham is closer to an MVP than almost anyone realizes. So here is where I land. Cade Cunningham has already done the hardest part. He went from bust whispers and a 14-win team to All-NBA and 60 wins, and he did it so smoothly that most of the league slept on it. The MVP is just the next quiet step. Everything, the roster, the conference, his own trajectory, is lining up for a leap next season. Do not be surprised when the guy nobody was talking about is suddenly the one everybody is. So that is the quiet MVP climb of Cade Cunningham, from a doubted number 1 pick to the engine of the best team in the East, and maybe the next name on the MVP trophy. So tell me, does Cade win MVP in the 2026-2027 season, or do the scorers out west keep the award locked up? Drop it below. And we are so close to 2,000 subs, so subscribe to stay up to date.